What's so funny about this whole situation is a phenomenon that I've been observing actually through the club for years now, and especially within the last year since Trump's campaign and all that, is that the left or the left owned media or the corporate media, whatever you want to call it, they try so hard to make us look uncool, right? And the result is just more exposure to the movement, right? And we look cool. Like, you can tell by the way they shot those pictures, the lighting, and like I do a little photography and I know a little bit about lighting, and like it's they were trying to make it look ominous. They were trying to make it look like this evil, this evil gathering of people, and they were trying to make people look greasy and sloppy, and it's just like, no, it's a bunch of good-looking young people in a room.
Cool.
Everybody looked like they were having a great time,
Yeah.
and the only people that are like coping and seething about it are like freaks with like pictures of themselves wearing masks on their profiles.
Welcome to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends, the podcast where we explore life, career, relationships, and pop culture through a Christian conservative perspective. Each episode, we dive into deep topics that matter most to us women, from navigating your career with grace and confidence to watering meaningful relationships grounded in faith. We're here to empower you to embrace your femininity and stand firm in your beliefs. We'll also tackle the latest in pop culture, discussing how they align or clash with our values. Let's uncover the truth and encourage each other to live boldly and authentically. So whether you're at home or on your commute, get ready for some fabulous conversations. Grab your teacup, pour yourself some tea. Come on, girlies, we're changing culture. The views expressed on this podcast are our own and do not reflect our employers. Enjoy! Hello, everyone. You're listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
I'm Becky.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's TCAP. It's in a funky order these last 2 weeks just because of life. So this TCAP should be out on Monday, and then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled TCAP Mondays and then interviews on Thursdays. So I'm really excited for this TCAP, though. Becky and I have been messaging on Instagram about doing an episode. Say that again?
It's been a long time coming, girl.
Yes, for months, probably since the summer. And honestly, I don't really know how we found each other. I think sometimes I'll like go on other like conservative pages and just be like, oh, who's here? This girl is girly pop. And then just like their page and then they'll come over. So that could be how we met. But anyway, I'm really excited to have her on. We're going to discuss much to discuss this week. But before we discuss this week, I want you to tell everybody like who you are and how you became a conservative and like any other information about you that you want the world to know.
Absolutely. So how I became a conservative is a very loaded question, so we'll push that off for just a second. But my name is Becky. I am 24 years old. I live in New York City. I live in Queens. A Christian girl. I like to start with that. Recently engaged to my very, very lovely and handsome fiance, Stefano. I'm a communications director in the New York City Council. Among other things, I do a lot of social media management. I do a lot of freelance graphic design. I'm currently the design chairwoman of the New York Young Republican Club.
Can I talk about this club real quick? If anyone has not followed them on Instagram, they legit to me, they have the most fun in the entire world. Like every time I see any post, like I want to go to one of the parties, one of the galas. It just looks like you guys have so much fun.
Like you should come.
Yeah, I definitely like that's on my bucket list. I do want to come and attend one, just to like see, like it. Yeah, and like never. I'm not going to talk bad about our YR. Like my YR isn't. Anyway, yours looks like a lot of fun, and everybody there seems like I don't know. It's like a different vibe, and I like it though. But anyway, continue.
We are the oldest and largest in the whole country, so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we've been around since 1911. It used to be just the Young Men's Republican Club. Obviously, it is since expanded to women. Hello.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, I mean, the current president, Gavin Wax, took over in 2019, and it went from a half-dead club with like barely 50 members to, I think we're pushing 1,700 now.
Oh, wow.
Just paying members, yeah, which is awesome.
That's so awesome. Crazy.
So, and listen, we get We average at our events, I mean, at our socials, you can easily see like 200 people there.
Really?
So I mean, listen, there
Wow.
is a huge conservative underbelly in the city. A
I
lot of
believe
people don't
it.
think about it. A lot of people don't know it, but it's huge and it's there. Now it's starting to get the media attention. I mean, over this last election cycle, we had, you know, all kinds of press coming to all of our events, our watch parties, our socials, there this, that, and the other thing. Because everybody was like, oh, urban conservatives, what is this? But it's like
Yeah.
I've been a member of the club since 2021. They did a march on Gracie Mansion protest after the vaccine mandates. They marched on the mayor's residence, which was like,
Oh,
I'm not vaccinated. I'm very open about that.
yeah.
And I almost couldn't finish college.
Oh,
I
wow.
dealt with discrimination in my personal life, in my professional life, in school, all across the board because New York was so insane about the vaccine
Yeah.
ban, as I'm sure you saw.
Yeah.
And, the club had already been on my radar, but they did this rally and my fiance actually spoke at it, but we went together and there are pictures of me. If you dig, and maybe I'll send them to you, if I can find them, but there are pictures of me somewhere like on the stage holding a sign that said my body, my choice, because I was trying to be ironic and funny.
Yeah.
Um, it was because it's like you want to stick it to the left because it's my body, my choice when it
Yeah.
comes to a person,
But
right?
not when it's,
And the
yeah.
vaccine, like you have to do what I tell you. It was ridiculous, but
Right. And it's literally your body. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Whereas with
Yeah.
abortion, it's not. But
Yeah.
um, so yeah, but that wasn't even my beginning as a conservative. I actually used to be a radical leftist when I was a teenager,
Let's
believe
talk
it or
about
not.
that.
Oh, girl, I cringe now. It's definitely something I don't look back on super proudly. But I was in my teens and I was emotional and hormonal and I was being fed all of this very angry propaganda, somewhere to basically direct all of those emotions into. And I just fell face first into like this very Tumblr leftist,
Mm.
set.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I was insufferable. I have to say, I was in high school when I got elected in
Mm-hmm.
2016 and crying. I thought all my friends were going to get deported and I thought I was going to get targeted because I'm Hispanic. And like, it was a mess. It was really a mess. And then as I made my way through high school and I went to college, I started to realize, in my head, of course, only, I was like, wait a minute. I don't really see the stuff I believe in being backed by fact. Like once I started leaving
Yeah.
this cloud that I existed under, I was like, this doesn't seem right. So in my early days of college, I declared myself non-political. Can you imagine? And because I couldn't stomach the idea that I could possibly be a conservative.
Yeah.
And my breaking point, and I attribute this, and this was definitely like my turning point moment. So my friend at the time and I were out having a coffee and he and I were talking politics. He was starting to pull me back into it because we were in a pre-law society together. We did a lot of political debates and he was just very liberal. Brooklyn College was very unabashedly pro-Trump. And I couldn't understand it. And I could agree with him on so many other things as he had basically destroyed most of my arguments. And I just realized that was really what was kind of
Yeah.
pushing. I was realizing I didn't have any facts to back what I was saying. I was just regurgitating talking points. But I couldn't get past the Trump thing. So we're talking, and I'm like, dude, I just can't get past it. Like, how can you like this man? He's racist, he's sexist. He said that, oh my gosh, what was the phrase? He said
Which
that
one?
no, the Charlottesville thing, it's escaping me. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
both good.
The people on both sides
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
And he turns to me and he was so excited. He was like, have you ever seen the full video? And I was like, no. What full video? What are you talking about? And he pulls up the video. And of course, what does Trump say? There were good people on both sides. And I'm not talking about the white supremacists. And I sat there and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, I'm being
Yeah.
lied. I'm being told something that's not the truth. And that was about 5 years ago. And 5 years later, I am now engaged to that man. So,
Oh, That's actually so cute. Oh wow.
So we were best friends in college, but yeah, it but the thing was like it wasn't like he was trying to force me into his worldview. It was just that
That's so important.
he was like, "You're smarter than this." Like he saw
Yeah.
flaws in the arguments that I had because I had nothing to back it. Like I said,
Yeah.
he was just poking holes, and I ended up coming to it on my own.
Yeah.
So that was basically a long-winded
No.
explanation of how I ended up here, but we ended up volunteering on our first campaign together in the summer of 2020. He's 2 years older than me, so he graduated that year. Um, and he was like, I'm ready. I'm going to get involved in politics. That's what he majored in. And he was like, you're coming with me. And I was like, all right,
Oh,
I guess so. So we started on a congressional campaign. We hopped around. We went on an assembly campaign. We saw that through to the end. And listen, 2020 was not a great year for Republicans.
no. No.
So, especially in New York, but and funny enough, and I'm going to keep the commentary to this, we actually won on election night and then lost once the absentees were counted. So,
Really? That's interesting.
yeah, I will keep that to that.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
so that was my first foray into it. And then ever since then, he and I have kind of worked in parallel but different capacities. So now he's kind of moved on. He's working for an education pack. He still does some um what's it called? Some
I'll see
campaign
you for
work here and
okay.
there. And I'm, like I said, now working in the city council. I'm doing social media work. I do stuff for the club. The stuff with the club is completely volunteer based, but he's the executive secretary in the club, so it's all kind of parallel and all
Yeah.
kind of works together.
That is so cute. Wow, that's adorable. I love this story because so I probably have the exact opposite. Like I grew up conservative, blah blah blah. I still had to do my own research and figure out because that's something that, and I wish I could tell people who are having kids that are you're going to raise them conservative. Like one thing that, and my parents did a good job, but I will say when I got to college, I really was like in this bubble and I
Mm.
didn't really know like I knew what I believed, but I didn't really know why. So I still had to do my research. So like that's something I tell people like if when you start having kids and stuff, like make sure you're telling them why they believe what they believe. Like it's good that
Right.
they believe it, but like make sure you tell them why. But I love hearing stories of people who have changed because I think you made a good point about how your fiance told you. Oops, sorry, that's my dog. I will
I did.
call him back. Let me just put this on. Not sorry. Um, I think you made a good point about how your fiance didn't like shove it in your face because I think sometimes when we have friends that disagree with us, we want to be like, "Wake up! This is the truth." But
Yeah.
that's not going to get anyone to really listen to you. It takes time. It takes, what I say on the podcast a lot, like always speak the truth in grace and in love. So like no one's
Mhm.
going to hear you out if you're, yelling at them and like shoving it down their throat. Sometimes you just have to take your time and like eventually people do come around. It just
Yeah,
takes
it's true.
time. So I love
It
that.
does. It does. I'm glad that he took that approach because, like you said, I would not have responded well if he was like, like other people might have told me I was stupid or like,
Yeah.
tried to force it. It was more like, no, I'm presenting you with the facts of the matter and you can do with it what you want to do with it. And I just decided to be mature enough and step back and be like, wow, I was wrong about something and I can change my mind because people are allowed to do that. People are
Yes.
allowed to change their minds.
Yeah.
But I lost a lot of friends as
Mm.
coming out, quote unquote, coming out as conservative. And,
Yeah.
I mean, if someone is going to drop me over my political views, weren't really that great of a friend to begin with.
Right.
Not to say, it didn't hurt sometimes. Some people I couldn't care less about. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. But, some people like they left my life in ways that they intentionally wanted to hurt me. And that
Hmm.
was for some people 10, 11 years of friendship and,
Oh,
I'm getting paragraphs about how I'm a horrible person and this and that. And I really have to step back and be like, so this person couldn't even give me the benefit of the doubt to have a conversation with me,
right.
was to, just putting assumptions onto me and leaving it at that. It's sad. I feel looking back with a little bit of objectivity, because it's been a few years now, it's sad. I feel bad for them that they are not able to step out of their own bubble, because I have no problem being friends with people that I disagree with, even on like very serious, deep issues. It's like at the
Same.
end of the day, that really has no bearing on how I feel about you as a person. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like there are certain values where I'm gonna look at you funny. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right. I
I'm not
might
gonna
go for a little bit. I still love you, but I might judge you. Yeah.
I'm not gonna like go out of my way to try to make you feel bad about yourself, like, or
Yeah.
personally attack you. I can attack your ideas, but I'm not gonna personally attack you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, especially not somebody that I have known for a long time, and I know that I have some friends that don't fully agree with me, and that's fine. But they respect me. They respect my work. They respect that I work hard, and they might not like it. They might not have liked when I was taking my victory lap on election night, but you know, we just keep it pushing. What else are you supposed to do? You know. So some people are just like freaks about it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I agree. Like, I have friends that, believe it or not, I actually have friends that would probably consider themselves pro choice, but more like, and that's a huge issue for me. Part of the reason why I'm still their friend is like, A, we have other things that we can talk about, other things we have in common. And then B, what I think people forget is like the way you change someone's mind is like being their friend, being kind to them, like being encouraging to them. So if I just automatically go, you know what? No, I don't want you in my life anymore, they may never hear, they might not have anyone else pro life to hear another argument. They might not have anyone else in their life that can even give them some, like, the courage to change their mind. So that's another reason, like, I don't go people just automatically like drop their friends because they disagree. There's so many other aspects, but it really does hurt though when someone does it to you. And I think
Yeah.
that, you're not alone in that. A lot of people have lost friends and like friendships for a long time. I can't necessarily, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I definitely have lost friends, and this is like no shade. And like, if you ever hear this, I'm not trying to be mean, but like, I can't really think of ones that like really meant a lot. And like, I'm not trying to be mean. Like, I
No, I
can't
get it.
like the people who I'm thinking of that I lost. Like, it was just kind of like, dang, that sucks. Okay, so it just wasn't like you know, I, I don't know. I just haven't felt like this. I don't know. And like you said, like people who don't like me because of my beliefs, like you're probably not relevant to me that much anyway. Like I don't know. It's just yeah.
If they're not aiding your growth as a person, and
Yeah.
and I'm not a big fan of like the hustle culture language mentality, but there is some truth to that, right? Like if somebody is
100%.
at least cheering for you, what are you doing? You know, like
Yeah.
what are you doing in my life? Like
Not really worth your time.
right, what's the point? You know, if you're actively like I'm a big believer in the evil eye,
Oh.
and I definitely what was funny was that my fiance gave me an evil eye necklace for my first birthday. And literally, as soon as he gave me that necklace, all of these people started dropping out of my life, like flies. It was insane. So eventually, they say that once the evil eye has done its job, bracelet or whatever, it'll either break or you'll lose it. And I think was it last year? It was either last Labor Day. No, it was definitely 2023, Labor Day 2023. I remember now that I lost it, and I was just so devastated. And it was a beautiful necklace. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I still, but I was just so like overly devastated about it. And then I realized I was probably again. Some people find this to be a little hokey, but I don't. I was probably holding on to so much because it had taken in so much of what had happened to me in the past 2 years before
Yeah.
that I was just releasing all of that. And ever since I lost that necklace, I haven't felt the weight of that as much anymore. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you
Yeah.
believe it. A lot of people don't, but
I
that's just
don't
me.
know too much about
Cool
it.
thing.
It's like I know it's cultural. Like when I was in Israel, they were everywhere. And I want to say I saw one in Oman too, but that's interesting
Yeah.
about the evil
So
eye. I didn't know that aspect about it. Interesting.
so people give like they give you that bad energy, I'm telling you. Whatever you want to call it,
Oh, I
bad
do
energy.
believe that though. I definitely believe people like
So
yeah, yeah. There are, and we'll wrap up this segment of advice for the youth. um, there are people who will be in your corner that are wishing you wrong. And I think it's
Oh
really
yeah.
important to identify that and like do accordingly to that. Like I had a friend who I just feel like she was kind of sabotaging some of my accomplishments. I don't know. It's just, and when that happened, I dealt with her accordingly. Like, this isn't someone I'm going to come to and tell all my greatest achievements to. It's not someone who I'm going to think of to invite to like intimate gatherings or anything like that. Sure, like I'm one of the people who does have like, and people don't like this, but like I don't think your friendships are all supposed to be like super deep. Like I don't think every single person is supposed to know every intimate part of you. You let your heart out. I just don't. So I've
No.
met going out friends, and like I was like, okay, this person is a going out friend, so I'm not going to put my like all my heart and soul into that because I think it's just important to know like where your friends stand, and it does like people thinking negatively about you and people putting like negative energy out there really does affect you. I think, and like we want to say it doesn't, but it does because like we're humans. That's just how humanity works.
Yeah. The older you get, the more you want to keep stuff to the
Oh,
chest.
100%.
Like I don't share nearly as much as I used to on social media. You don't need to know what I'm doing. You can know
Yeah.
after, maybe, but you're not going to know before it happens. You're not going to know while it's happening. I go on vacation, I don't even post about it. Like
Oh, see, I'm
maybe a
not like that, but that's good. No, that's a good quality to have.
there. Like if I'm about to go on a plane, let's say I'm very superstitious. I'm half Spanish, half Portuguese, so there's a lot of superstitiousness baked into my cultures. So, like if you wear your shirt backwards, you're calling them witches or something like that's the
Oh,
kind of stuff that
whoa.
like the
Okay.
Italians
And we should do
yeah,
an
like
episode on that another time. That's
oh
really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like if I'm about to go on a plane, I'm not posting it because God knows if somebody who doesn't like me is watching it is gonna, even a thought to me, it's like I don't want somebody to have a negative thought about me
Yeah.
when they not know what I'm doing at all. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll post like here and there, like little things. Like I was in Portugal for 2.5 weeks this summer, and I posted about it like twice on my story, maybe, or two or three times because I just didn't, I just didn't. Nobody needs to know. I'm
Yeah.
with my I just
Not
I
anybody's
don't
business, technically.
be
Yeah.
gone. Me, don't need that energy near me. You know, so that's just me. Like I don't blame anybody else for you post what you want to post,
Yeah.
but just like extra extra
No, but
protect.
that's good quality. Like that's good practice. I will get there someday. And I do like I will say the person that I put out on the podcast, like this 100% me, but also there's like aspects of me that people just don't know cuz like I just
Yeah.
don't feel like they should. Especially like when it comes to like my family. I share what I want you to know type of thing.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Exactly. That's a ticket right there.
Well, we have a lot to discuss today. Let me pull up the docket.
Yes, yes.
So let's get into it. You have a mug, I see. So what I want to try to always do is do a clink.
Oh yes.
So right before we get into it, so are you ready to get into some stories today?
But don't look at the Merry Christmas on the glass. Just look at the kitty.
All right. Clink.
Cheers.
Kind of us cheersing. One day I'll have like a sound effect and it'll sound really cool. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, you said you're engaged.
Yes.
How is all of that going? Like, what are some things that you're learning in this season of your life?
I love it. Honestly, he did it in such a beautiful way. He proposed to me with both of our families there on my mom's birthday, which was
Oh,
extra special because my dad proposed to my mom on her birthday. So
so
it was perfect. It was like the nice little intimate gathering that I kind of always hoped for and wanted. So, and he picked out a beautiful ring.
yes,
Gotta,
yeah.
gotta give him kudos. But wedding planning, girl. Oh my goodness. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's like it's every time I get an email from a venue, it's like a little treat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it's also so stressful. Like the wedding industry is one big old scam. Maybe scam's too harsh of a word, but it's definitely a grift. I'll say that. It's definitely a grift. There's no reason why everything is as expensive as it is, but people pay for it, so they charge
Yeah.
them. And it's been wild. I mean, seeing that, like, I have a very big family, as does he. Mine is bigger than his, and we have a lot of friends, and I've always wanted this, like, gigantic European style wedding of my dreams, like what I grew up going to.
Love it.
You
Absolutely love
know,
it. Go New York.
yeah, right. Because he's Southern European too. He's Greek and Italian, so
Oh, yeah. Both of you have
it,
huge families.
oh yeah, girl, and my dad is one of six,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so we're like we're big old family. So we're going through our guest list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like this could easily be like 450 people. What
Oh,
is
my
going on?
God.
Obviously we're gonna have to cut down and whatever, but it's insane. It's insane,
Yeah.
but if it was easier to do so, I would just pick up and get married in Europe somewhere because it's so much cheaper and it's sometimes better than what the places here have to offer.
Well,
But
I saw, just really quick, I can't remember the website. If I see it, I'll send it to you. There are castles you can get married in that are like cheaper than venues in the US, like legit castles. One was in Ireland. I can't remember where the others were, but the one I was looking at, I mean, I'm not engaged or dating anyone, but I was looking at it. The castle was like in Ireland, and it was like cheaper than like getting married in some of the places in Charlotte.
that's
So,
yeah, I would love that. Unfortunately, it's not in the cards for a variety of reasons,
yeah,
just because I know that some of his family and my family that we would want to be there wouldn't be able to make the trip.
fair.
So like elder family members and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I don't want. I'd be sad if
excluding
they couldn't
them.
make it. I want,
Yeah,
and also my on the opposite end, my cousins from overseas are like, hell yeah, we're coming to New York, yay! And it's like, okay, you don't want to disappoint anybody while still having
yeah.
the balance. This is our day. This is not anybody else's day. So it's a little difficult, but there's this like whole culture I'm discovering, wedding culture, that is very interesting. It's definitely very self-centered. It's
Mm,
only your day. Or like when I went to a bridal expo, for example, and I was talking to these vendors, and this turned me off so fast to all these vendors. They were like, this isn't really his day. This is your day. And I was like, no, this is our day. This is the
yeah,
first day of our marriage. This is the first day of a lifetime together. This is
yeah,
not a day. This is a beginning. You know what I mean? And
yeah. Oh, that's
that's
good.
it, because if you just like let yourself get caught up in all of the talking,
Hmm.
you become like the most self-centered person ever. And it's like people are trying to create this insane peak in their life that they can never top. It's like this one day will be the best day ever and nothing will ever top it. And it's like, yeah, it should be a great, amazing, beautiful day. Like it should go well. You should hope to God that it goes well, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the first day of your marriage. So what precedent do you want to set? Do you want to set a selfish precedent, or do you want to set, a precedent where you're involving your people in it? You're involving your community and the people you love. And whether that means having a 20-person wedding or a 20,000 person wedding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I just feel like the coupled with the prices and the commercial aspect of it all kind of like takes away the sacred covenant that two people are entering into. That's really what's at the core of it, the love between two people that is then binding them under God if they so choose. I know that we're going to get married in the church, so that's what's most important to me. Do I want the big party? Of course I do. Do I want
Right.
to get married in a big fancy venue? Of course I do. Do I
Yeah.
want good dancing and good music and good drinks? Of course I do. But I'm being careful to keep myself in a place where I want the marriage more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
No, that's so good.
that's the priority. That's what should be the priority, because then you're going to spend the rest of your life being disappointed that you're living a normal life that's not going to top your wedding. And it's like there's so much more to look forward to. there's kids, there's milestones, there's all these beautiful things coming down the line for us, and it's like there's so much more. It'll be a great day, but it's still just a day. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's
such a good perspective.
thank you.
Seriously, and like you're very mature for that. A couple of the weddings that I've been to and been in have not had that. Well, I won't say they haven't had that perspective, but it just seemed like it's been a lot more stressful than it could have been. It was just, and I think that, you get caught up. It's not really necessarily anyone's fault. You just get caught up in it. But I think you have a really good perspective. I want to talk really quick about what you said about it's only really your day. I feel like for me, like I've jokingly said that, but like obviously if I'm getting like I want my spouse's input on stuff.
Yeah,
I think
of course.
sometimes like what I'm noticing about like the world in general is like I'll be saying something as like a joke. And then I'll turn around and I'm like laughing and then the person beside me like, yeah, that's the truth. And it's like, well, no, I think people are like, maybe it's the maturity level or I don't know what it is, but like I think people are not maybe thinking things through. I don't know what it is, but like when you said that, I'm like, obviously, if you're getting married, your husband, your fiance should have a same input on everything because at the end of the day, it's both of you together and it is the foundation. Like your wedding day, like how you guys plan is going to be a good insight too on how they handle pressure, how they
Hmm.
handle big events, how they make decisions. Especially like if you're not living together before this, like it'll be a really good insight on who they are as a person. So I think it's really important to remember that it's not just your day. Obviously, the dress is going to have a moment, your hair, your makeup, that's all going to have a moment, but like it's still both of you together. And I just, anyone listening, I'm not married, but like anyone listening, I feel like that's just something to like recenter when you start thinking about marriage. It's like, it's not just, especially that day. And I think you also made a good point too when you said like, it's the beginning. I think when we start thinking about marriage or your wedding as the beginning instead of like this final end, I think that'll also take away some of the things that I've heard where people are like, yeah, and then we get to the wedding, I just feel kind of like drained or like I just feel like all the hubbub is over. Your wedding is really just the beginning of the rest of your life, honestly. Like ideally you and your spouse will be together forever. And
Yeah.
ideally, hopefully you'll probably pass away around the same time too. So you're literally together forever. So if we change our mindset, I think to your wedding is day one. Your wedding is just the beginning. I think it'll like make wedding season, wedding planning a lot smoother.
Oh
That's just
yeah.
my
And
advice.
I know I agree with you 100%. And that's not to say I haven't been stressed about it.
Right, of course.
Like, I'm looking at the date. I'm barely 2 months engaged, and we're not getting married the end of 2026, and I'm already like, getting
Yeah.
a little frazzled. But do you know what the problem is? I was thinking about this. Our culture just completely infantilizes women. And like it's like, oh no, okay, here's your binky. It's your day. It's all about you. Don't worry. It's like, no, grow up. You are entering into a marriage. You are entering into a new phase of your life. Like suddenly it's not me, it's we, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that mentality probably contributes to the divorce rate and a lot of problems.
Mhm.
Women not wanting to have children because it's like nobody our culture celebrates women who only focus on themselves.
Yeah.
And there are some women who don't want to get married, don't want to have kids. That is fine. You do what you want to do, right? Like I'm not here to tell you that you should have kids if you don't want to, because if you don't want to have kids, then you probably shouldn't have kids. You know what
I
I
was
mean?
about to say that. People, yeah.
Right. But like for those who do want it all but also don't want to stop only thinking about themselves, it's like you can't do both well.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? You're only going to do one of those things well, and more than likely, you're going to do focusing on yourself well. So, I'm hoping that there will be a cultural shift in these next few years. I feel it coming. I don't feel this culture as strongly as in previous years, but we're still definitely in the thick of it, I'd say.
Yeah.
But,
I
you know,
agree. A huge problem I think too is there's so many and okay, there has to be a balance. This is everyone listening, like comment, let me know what you think on this. There has to be a balance because I feel like there's so many women who post like today was just the absolute worst day. I hate being a mother. I hate being married. I just did it all. My life is so terrible, blah, blah, blah. Which I'm sure it can get like that. Like, once again, like, I'm not trying to judge, but I do think it like that's all you're seeing. I've had to block accounts on like TikTok before where it's just women complaining about being a wife and a mom for two reasons. Because obviously I want to be a wife and a mom. So I honestly don't want to hear you complaining about it. But then secondly, it's like, that's all you're talking about. Like, there are younger girls younger than me that are just maturing, so they don't know how to be able to like look at stuff and like, I mean, I guess like take like take everything with a grain of salt. Some people just kind of like look at it and just consume it all. So I think like we have to start having more women talk about the joys of motherhood, talk about the joys of being married. I think it's really important for women, especially young women, that are in that season of life, to talk about like the positives. Of course, there's negatives, and I don't know how to balance it because like I'm not living in it, but I just sorry y'all. I'm still. Okay. Anyway.
It's funny you bring that up because before you came on, I was watching childbirth videos, as I do, and
Sorry, you're watching what?
I was watching childbirth videos. I was one,
Oh, okay.
So
no,
I
that's
follow
scary.
an account called right, like people. Well, that's the thing. I follow this account called Pain Free Birth, which sounds crazy, right? Sounds wild, but is that to say that all these births are pain free? I doubt it, but
I will
it's
say my mom said she had pain-free births both times. Now, I don't know how my mom is an exaggerator, so that could be true, could not be true, but no offense if you're listening to this, mommy, but like she did say I mean, it's possible. I definitely think it's possible.
so what and how it kind of ties into what you were saying. I grew up, as I'm sure you did, except not from your mother, but from other women, hearing that childbirth is like the worst thing ever. It's the most painful thing ever. You hardly get through it. You can't get through it without medical intervention, yada, yada, yada. So I've really enjoyed seeing this resurgence of women that are like taking back the childbirth experience and turning it into a positive thing as opposed to this big
Yeah.
scary, because a, a lot of what you go through in childbirth, are obviously barring any other circumstances that might be going on, has to do with your mindset. You know what I mean? So
100% true.
being the fact that there's stuff like that out in the ether, whether or not it ends up being someone's personal experience, is nice to have as an alternate positive perspective, because I think that it's important to have a balance, and to hear negative anything all the time is going to make you negative, negative about being a wife, negative about childbirth, negative about raising kids. Everything has ups and downs, and to
Yeah.
expect anything to be black and white in life is just so silly, so misguided, so dumb. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you. I mean, and there's a balance because I'm sure there definitely are negative stories, but I just, like you said, you can't listen to that all the time. You just can't. It's not healthy. It's not helpful. And the mindset thing I do think makes a big difference. And not to say, I feel like I'm saying all these caveats, but I do know people who like were very crunchy and like did their best and they just didn't have that birth experience. And that's all in God's hands. That happens. He chooses what he chooses. But I do think it is possible for a lot of people to have pain free and to, have positive marriages. My parents are still together. They've been married for, if I'm 30 for 32 years. So yeah. So like, it's possible to have a happy marriage. I mean, obviously they're not like, I can't say like they've never fought a day in their life. Okay, obviously they have, like they're humans, but I mean they're still together. Like they seem to still love each other. They spend a lot of time together. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
So they at least tolerate each other. Positive to have a happy marriage. Positive to have a nice birth. Like you can have all of these good positive things. It just seems like so much on social media is, like you said, mentalizing women, and it's just this negativity around it. But I think, like you said, culture will shift when those of us who have good and positive stories are expressing that, and like we're telling people it can be good. You can have a good experience. So
yeah, it's true.
yeah.
It's true.
So shifting gears a little bit, still talking about marriage. So let's talk about this clip about from The Bachelor. It's a couple, Rachel and Matt from The Bachelorette or The Bachelor. I don't know, y'all. I don't really watch it. My friends made me watch it one season, and it really upset me because the girl was supposed to pick one guy. It was so obvious. She was supposed to be with this one guy, but she picked the other guy, and they ended up not being together. And that really upset me. Anyway, let me play this clip. Okay.
One day he would get one of those things where he, I think, just had this realization that I should want to propose to you by this time. Like at this point in our, I don't know if I ever see myself proposing to you. I can't actually see myself married to you. He said that, maybe one day he would get there, but he doesn't feel ready now. And I told him, I said, well, I feel like after 4 years, you should know or you should feel ready. And if you don't, then that's not a good thing. Just
honestly, the second time I heard that through, it almost made me want to cry because that's so sad.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts when you heard this? Like, what are you thinking?
That's awful. First of all, terrible. I mean, fiance and I were together for 4 years before he proposed, but it's like that it was always kind of understood, even if we didn't say it. Like this is,
And
this
you were
is
in college. I think that's some context too. Like you were in college. I feel like that gives you a little bit more cushion. But keep talking. I'm gonna look up how old this couple is.
It's like, why are you going to waste someone's precious time on this earth, like your best years, to for what? To play around, to just like kind of see, maybe just have some fun. Like, you know, women in general mature a little faster than men usually do. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fact. Men love y'all, but it's true.
Yeah.
And it it's just sad. Like I don't know that I don't really watch The Bachelor either, but I'm sure she wanted like a family and
I mean,
was
that's technically why they're on the show. Technically, that's why they're
right.
supposed
Like,
to.
it's like they're not there to mess around. At least I hope not.
Right.
So why would you drag somebody around along for 4 years? But at the same time, it's like, was this conversation never had? Like, you would think at least after year two, you'd be like, all right, what are we, or even year one, or the first few months, like, where are we going? What are we doing?
Well, let
You
me tell
know?
you something that girls do that they've got to stop doing. Girls keep dating guys with potential instead of the guy
Mm-hmm.
that's already there. And I don't mean finances. I don't mean career wise. I mean like his personality and like what he wants and like his goals in life. You can work at Walmart, but your goal to be the own Walmart. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like surrounding money and status. You can't just date potential. And here's the other thing too. She probably was trying to be the cool girl. You know what? If I bug him about being married, then like he won't want to be with me. I mean, if at year two, so she's 28, still young, I guess, but like she wasted 4 years. She could have been
Yeah.
those 4 years, or heck, those 2 years, last 2 years, she could have been with someone. Now she has to like start over. First, she has to get over someone you're with for 4 years, and then you have to start over with someone else. Yeah. So like, the problem is, I don't know this couple. I'm just going to make an assumption from what I've seen. This girl was trying to be the cool girl. She,
Yeah.
of course, if I don't say anything right now, he'll still propose to me. But being the cool girl can only get you so far, and you certainly can't be the cool girl for 4 years and not expect anything. And then also, I once again don't know the man, but like I would say that there has to be a character flaw because men know pretty quickly if they want to marry you. I don't know
Yeah.
why people think that they don't. Like men know. They might not know, after the first date, okay? Like don't put that much pressure on anyone. But by like third, fourth month, they know if they want to be with you for a considerable amount of time. So there's some flaws in his character that he would keep going after this long.
Oh, yeah. Like he was dragging her along like a, you know, like a
Ragdoll.
you know what I mean? Yeah, like a
Yeah,
ragdoll string. You know what I'm saying? It's that's sad. That's really sad. I
it's
feel bad
really
for her.
sad.
I still think that she should have had the conversation sooner, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, we don't know. They could have had the conversation, or I mean, it doesn't sound like they did, but maybe
Yep.
there was a hint of a conversation, or maybe he just kept brushing it off, and she thought, oh, he just wants it to be a surprise. But it's like, I don't know. It's sad on all sides. I mean, he's just gonna go on and find
The
whatever tick
person. he wants to actually be with. And can I say this? This is going to be a hot take. This is a prediction. I could be wrong, everyone. Homeboy's going to be engaged to someone else within a year and a half. I believe he's going to find somebody within a year and a half. Because the fact of the matter is he didn't want to be with her. And this is something that, like, once again, I feel like you learn with age. Sometimes when guys say, I'm not ready for a relationship, and, you know, the with you is silent. Because when a guy really wants to be with someone, they will. And I know that's hard to hear. The first time someone told me that, I was like, no, he loves me. He just isn't ready. No. If a guy wants to be with you, he will. Especially at this age. 28, especially at this age. If he wants to be with you, he will. What'd you say?
They're both 28?
She is. I'm assuming he is. I guess, let me look up his age. What's his name? Matt James. He is a firsty lasty, too. That's kind of a red flag. No, I'm just joking. Just joking. That's not a red flag. Oh, he's 33. Even worse. He's 33. 33.
Girl, if you don't know what you have going on at that point, come on. I was looking at a bio. I was about to match with this guy. He was 37, I think, and he said he was still trying to figure out what he wanted on Bumble. I was like, oh, this is insane. You're 37. You need a family. Yeah.
Like, still trying to figure it out. What? That was so crazy. Yeah, at 33, that's insane for him to be acting this way. But yeah, when a guy doesn't want to be in a relationship, the with you is silent. And once you realize that, you can, like, move forward.
And you gotta be man enough to let a girl down. If you don't want to be with her, you just gotta rip the Band-Aid off. You can't just, like, eventually it's gonna be a painful ending. Like, how long are you gonna drag it out?
And it hurts worse when it's dragged out.
Like, it's so much worse. It's like you might as well have just like finished it off 2 years ago, or a year and a half, like 3.5 years ago, just to, like, give her time to find somebody else. But you know what? She is young. She will find somebody. Yeah. I didn't see it, but I am assuming she's beautiful.
She's very pretty. I think she'll be okay.
Yeah, she'll be okay. And that guy did not deserve her.
Oh, sorry. Say that again.
That guy did not deserve her.
No, he did not. He did not deserve her. Not for leading her on like that. I just can't get over. I did not realize he was 33. That's so crazy to me. Well, we are almost at an hour. I want to do one. There's like a pop culture story I want to do, but also I want to talk about this article. Actually, which one do you want to talk about? You tell me. Do you want to do the the future is female under Trump, or Cheryl Lloyd claims label told her to hook up with Justin Bieber?
Honestly, I kind of wanted to talk about the New York Magazine cover.
Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up, and that's on here too. Okay, let's talk about that. Good call. Okay, actually,
it's still taking the internet by storm.
100%. Let me read. This is from Ep8 Magazine. They did an article about the girl, but they talked about the picture. Let me read that real quick. From Ep8 Magazine, the photo that set the internet on fire, the now iconic shot of Anna Claire, was taken at a pro-Trump event in Washington, D.C., where she was celebrating Donald Trump's return to the White House. The New York Magazine editors think that they have captured the ominous rise of Gen Z Republicans, made her the cover star, and what happened. It went viral. I'll post the picture. You guys, I'm sure have seen it already, though, but I'll post it. It went viral not because people were horrified, but because she looked absolutely stunning. Okay, well, it was her and, like, everything else, too. Yeah, I mean, she looked stunning for sure, but this article is acting like it was just her. Anyway, instead of making conservatives look bad, they accidentally created the ultimate right-wing it girl. MAGA fans flooded social media with admiration as X exploded, and Claire herself remained silent on her newfound fame, proving once again that confidence speaks louder than it's so. Okay, here we go. In true corporate media fashion, New York Magazine intentionally cropped their cover to make it appear that the event was exclusively white, erasing the Black conservative influencers and party host C.J. Pearson completely from the narrative. C.J. immediately called them out. Quote, "This is insane. I hosted this event, and New York Mag intentionally left me out of their story because it would have undermined the narrative that MAGA is some racist cult." Okay. That's essentially what I was trying to get to. Ignore the beginning. Even though, like, read that I'll link the article, everyone. The girl is really pretty, but I'm talking about the whole
Ooh,
picture.
there's
Becky, go
so
first.
much to say. There's so much to say. So, fun fact, some of my friends were at that party, some of my friends from the club. I very regrettably did not go down to DC for the inauguration for one reason and one reason only. I hate DC in January. I've had to go to DC for different reasons for the past 3 Januaries, and I've wanted to kill every time.
Fair.
So I don't need to go. It'll be fine. And then I'm looking at all this. I'm like, damn,
I know.
I
Oh, I
should.
had so much FOMO. I was
Oh
watching. I had so
God,
much FOMO.
so much FOMO. But regardless, so I heard chattering that some of my friends had just walked out when that picture was taken. But what I
Oh
find,
dang, they just missed it.
no, I know it's crazy. So they were in like some other pictures and that made it into other publications. But what's so funny about this whole situation is a phenomenon that I've been observing actually through the club for years now, and especially within the last year since Trump's campaign and all that, is that the left or the left owned media or the corporate media, whatever you want to call it, they try so hard to make us look uncool, right? And the result is just more exposure to the movement, right? And we look cool. Like, you can tell by the way they shot those pictures, the lighting, and like I do a little photography and I know a little bit about lighting, and like they were trying to make it look ominous. They were trying to make it look like this evil, this evil gathering of people, and they were trying to make people look greasy and sloppy, and it's just like, no, it's a bunch of good-looking young people
It
in a
looks
room.
so cool.
Everybody looked like they were having a great time,
Yeah.
and the only people that are like coping and seething about it are like freaks with like pictures of themselves wearing masks on their profiles.
And it's people who, like, you can say whatever you want to say about conservative personalities or whatever. The people who are upset about it, they're people who wish that they went to events like that. It's the
Mm-hmm.
people who are not included. And it's, like you said, there are people who have masks still on. It's people who, dress kind of frumpy. No judgment to those who dress frumpy, but like you can tell, like there's people who want to be there. Those are like even looking. So like sometimes on Twitter, I'll like look, and I don't call it X, I call it Twitter. By the way, everyone. I was on
Oh,
Twitter, and I would see some of the people like quote tweeting like, "Oh, they think they're so cool," and I look at their account. I'm like, and so do you actually. That's another thing
yeah.
too. I realize like, and I'm not trying to like lift myself up at all, but like I notice, especially because like I have always been kind of like bolder, especially as someone who has struggled with weight her whole life. A lot of girls in my position where I call them potato sack clothes and like they kind of shrink themselves and like that's just never been who I am. So something I've noticed is a lot of times when people say stuff like, oh, they think they're better or like, well, this looks so lame. It's really a projection. Like that's how they feel. Like they think that you're better. They think that they wish they could be there with you. And that's what I'm noticing about a lot of people who are like, oh, it looks so lame. But like, you wish you were there.
Yeah, it's true. And for the past few years, there have been a few club events that have had kind of similar press coverage. Obviously, nothing that like went this insane as this did, just because all
Yeah.
eyes were on this. But back in 2020, early 2023, we did a Martinis with Roger Stone event in the East Village, and it like we had like all these magazines. I think Rolling Stone covered it. Rolling Stone has covered us a few times, and like they always write like these. If they don't write like outwardly negative articles, they're just very condescending, and like the journalist makes no qualms about what his biases are, and it's like all very blatant, but at the end of the day you're getting us pressed, and
Mm-hmm.
and the pictures look cool, and we're
Mm-hmm.
other people aren't doing, and I think that's why the press is there in the first place, because it's a spectacle and they want to be part of it. They want to be there. They want to say that they were there. Oh, do you know where I was? I was
Yeah.
at that with that picture that went viral on the cover of New York Magazine. Like, you want to be able to say that you were there. So I think what we're starting to see, it's been slowly happening, and I'm happy to see it happening more on a national level now. It's that we're sort of conservatives, especially the young right, are entering this era of cultural monopoly, and we haven't had
100%.
in a long time, right? We were
Yeah.
dogs. We couldn't get mainstream articles. Like we were breaking through. Now we've broken through.
Yeah.
We're there. We're on the front covers. We're everywhere. You know, fashion houses are dressing Melania and they're dressing Usha
Mm-hmm.
and they're dressing the Trumps and they're not scared
Oh,
anymore.
they're not ashamed.
And
They
they're not
did
ashamed.
themselves. Yeah, yeah.
My question is now, okay, what are conservatives going to do with that?
You know, Becky, that's a good point. Let's not fumble. Like that's
Right.
first thing. Let's not fumble this
Like,
opportunity.
I don't want to see any of those, like, no offense to the people who made this, but like those crappy, like, do you see like the trad wife MAGA calendar thing where it's like a white
Yeah.
room, hats and the aprons, and it's
The
like
pornography, yes.
it's
Yeah.
like I don't want trash. I want art.
Yes. I saw a tweet that compared the magazine picture to the calendar, and it was like it's crazy that the left made us look cooler than we do on ourselves.
I saw that. Yeah, that's what triggered. Yeah, because it's true. It's like that's one thing that conservatives have, like, my own gripe with the movement in general is that we never did things in a way that was like as sexy as the left, at least not for a while. And that was kind of what brought me towards the club, because it was like, and here's this club full of young Republicans who are doing like these fun, classy things that look cool, and we're putting our pictures online, and it's like, even you said at the beginning, it's like you see the pictures and it's like these amazing parties with photography, and it's not like five guys in shoes that don't match their belts and like in a bar taking pictures on an iPhone. Like, it's like, no, it's legit. It's something cultural that you can point to and you feel like there's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I want to see that mentality expand. I want to see that dedication to art and, meaningful cultural output expand. Like, I have a lot of friends who are conservative artists, mostly mostly musicians, and I think they're doing a really good job of that. My friend Brent is like a brilliant composer, and he's really, really big into the conservative art scene and sort of breaking through as a conservative artist.
Wait, I love this. Keep going. I love this. Keep going.
I have this singer named Emilio Pons, who I'm really good friends with. We met actually through the club, and he started his own conservatory for music. He in his home, in his brownstone, his beautiful brownstone, and I've been there a million times. And he basically created a rival to Juilliard.
Wow! I love that.
Because he got kicked out of everywhere else because he's just unabashedly conservative. And, he's brilliant. He's an amazing singer. He sang the national anthem at our last gala, but obviously he's played and sung so many different venues. Like, he's very world renowned. But, nobody in the left-wing art space will give him the time of day, So he was like, screw you, I'm making my own space. And that's what I want to see, like that dedication to art and beauty. I don't want to see cheap. I don't want to see like
AI
cheap
looking stuff.
Yeah, like, there's a place for that, maybe, but it's like, I want
not in our movement, but continue.
I want something that like stirs
real.
Like when Trump signed that executive order requiring, what was it, to requiring that federal buildings are like black architecture, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is what we need, because these soulless, communist, brutalist buildings are destroying our soul. Like, I see it in the city. Like, you drive into the city and it's you have your beautiful old buildings with they're so ornately done and they're beautiful, and then you see like bricks, like these like skyscrapers, like a box. It's like, what am I supposed to feel when I look at that besides hopeless? Like, give me art, give me inspiration, So that's what I want. I want conservatives to latch onto. Like, we can be the torchbearers of that and bring it forth. You know what I mean?
I absolutely love this. I talk about this a lot on the podcast. I really think we have got to do better with art. We have got to do better with even welcoming people who are more autistic, sure, but like artistic is what I was trying to say. Welcoming them more in the movement, because I think you're so right about like beauty. And there was a time I feel as if art people weren't, I don't want to say they weren't welcome, but like they were looked at kind of like, that's kind of weird, you're into art. And I think it's just because of like preconceived notions about all the artists have blue hair and nose piercings, whatever, even though we know there are people who are conservative that can do that as well. But my point being is like, I really do want that, because I think like the idea of creating your own conservatory, like chef's kiss, great. Like that's what we need to do. We need to have rivaling things, and we shouldn't necessarily be reactionary in the sense of like copy and paste of like what someone else did, but we should create our own, especially if you're not getting that space. And then when you create your own, you welcome other people in. Having that like a rival to Julia, like such a good idea. Like send that person's account to me. Like I will follow and support. Like I love that type of stuff. Honestly, you can come on the podcast and talk about it. Like I love that type of stuff. Like art, anything like creative. I just really think that we need more of that. I loved Riverdale at the beginning. I thought Riverdale, the first season, chef's kiss. Toward the end, every 5 seconds, there was some sort of sexual scene that was not needed. Was the story at the beginning, toward the end it went off the rails, but at the beginning, was the story really interesting? Absolutely. It was something that anybody could enjoy. Mm-hmm. The problem is, our TV shows, our movies are decent. Like, I'm not saying, like, they've gotten a lot better. Like, I grew up in, like, very evangelical. Like, I've seen movies that they tried to get us to watch. I went to Christian school and, like, elementary school, and you could see the boom mic, okay? So we've gotten better. Like, I am very impressed at our side. We've definitely gotten better. But we still have room to go. Like, I want to see a good movie about, like, high school. Like, I'm just gonna use Daily Wire for an example, not necessarily knocking them, but like the run fight, couldn't care less about that. The prairie, couldn't care, like show me like a different type of story. Like we need more of that. Like, and I'll support it. And you guys know I'm trying to get The Visitation remade, so like I'll support that too. Like, Visitation's a really, really good book. They made a movie out of it in like maybe 2003. Oh my god, it's so awful, but like I would put money. It's actually like, it's so good, and like I guess it would be considered like a thriller, but like people who aren't even Christian would absolutely love it, but it needs to be done. So like that's a life project I want to be a part of one day. But anyway, my point is like, we have so much potential. You're right. We're at the top of the social cultural capital right now. Let's use this opportunity. If you have any talents and skills, like now is the time to do it. Now is the time to like put forth, and we can be better. Like, which way? Like, New York Mag Fun or that weird calendar that was grossly marketed to dads? Like, which way?
Yeah.
Which
way?
Yeah.
Choose your path.
Literally, which way?
I agree wholeheartedly, and that is one complaint that I have. I mean, we're catching up. I'm not going to say we haven't like done better, like you said, but like Emilio, for example, he's like a paragon to me because he created a space that, yes, it was started because he's a conservative, only because he wasn't accepted elsewhere, but the space is not necessarily about being conservative.
I love that.
It's about the music, right?
Yeah.
It's about learning this beautiful craft. It's about, enjoying and all that. So what I would really love to see, and if it's out there, Lord, please come to me, I would love to see a more of a creative writing space where it's made up of conservatives, but not necessarily always about conservatism. Because it's like, anytime I talk to anyone who's conservative and a writer, it's like all you write about is being conservative, which is fine.
Yeah.
You only ever write in that lens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, where are my conservative poets? Where are my conservative like lyricists and like these? You know what I mean? Like I so bad. Haven't found it yet.
Well, when you find it, let me know. I am actually writing a creative story about mermaids that has nothing to do with conservatism. And I want to make that clear. Like, it is not deep or anything like that. It's just like a fun little novel about mermaids. So I agree. I want more creative stories like that aren't, and we need more influencers that aren't like conservative influencer. They're an influencer that happens to be conservative. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I guess you could say regret. Like I wish I had gone that route, but like I also couldn't help like I don't know. Sometimes I wish like I was more known as an influencer that happened to be conservative, or I feel weird calling myself an influencer. Someone who creates content that happens to be conservative as opposed to a conservative content creator, because I do
Yeah.
think like we need more, we just need more people in that space that just happen to be, because
Yeah.
it'll make it seem cooler, A, and then B, like it is just sometimes it's just part of it. Like you don't want to talk about it all the time. At least I know I certainly don't want to talk about it all the time. So yeah,
Yep.
so if you find that creative writing, let me know, because I would want to be part of that. Like the writing club I'm in now, it's me, my brother, and another one of my friends, and like we're all like right of center. Everyone else though is like not. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, we don't talk about politics really or anything like that. But it would be nice to be around people though who I can be a little bit more like, I don't know, I can make jokes with that are not going to be offended type of thing.
I feel like you have to mince your words, but at the same time, it's not always about that. Like, I would
Yeah.
love, like, what's her name? Gertrude Stein was a 20th century author who used to
Oh.
hold salons in her apartment in Paris, and she was gay, and she had a wife named Alice B. Toklas, and she hosted people like Picasso and Hemingway. What's his name? Who wrote Gatsby? Oh my gosh,
Oh,
F. Gerald.
yeah.
All that generation. That was,
Wow.
I feel like, was the one that brought them into prominent artists and
That's
write
so
most.
cool.
And what I want is that, like, we have the music aspect, but where's the art, the artists, where are the writers? Like, I want that, because I double majored in communications but also in English. I started out with just an English major because when I went into college, my idea was like, oh, I'm gonna like end up in a publishing house. And then I interned in, it wasn't a publishing house, I'm not gonna name drop, but let's just say it's like a one of those nonprofit organizations that gives one of the big awards that they put on the book. I'm not gonna say exactly which one.
Oh, okay.
And
Am I probably thinking of it? Okay, okay.
I'll tell you offline, but I don't wanna put them on blast.
Yeah,
But they were nice and all, but it was like they're just so woke. They're just so like, I remember I was doing tasks for them and I was putting together lists of books, and they were actually specifically telling me try to avoid books about white people. And I was
right.
like, it was actually one of the things that like was starting to push me over the edge into being a
Yeah.
conservative. I was like, but why? Like
That
white
doesn't seem right.
this like I was right, like I love like Julie Andrews books. Julie Andrews wrote amazing books. I was like writing some of those. What's his name? Roald Dahl, like Matilda and books like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And they were like, yeah, we're trying to like elevate other voices now. And I was like, okay. And I kind of just went along with it. But then I realized I was like, I could never work in a field like this. Like
yeah.
even when I wasn't like explicitly conservative, it still like bothered me deep in my soul. I was like, you're actively excluding people, like trying to overcorrect a past wrong.
Right.
I don't know the problems with wokeness. I'm not gonna go into that, but it's just that culture. Like I can't reasonably see myself involved in any institution that believes in that. So like
Yeah.
how to break through or how to create your own space, you know?
And that's what I was going to say, Becky. It sounds like this is the start of you doing it. Wow. I'm so excited to have been at the beginning of this. I cannot wait. Just let me know. What's
One day,
today? January
one
30th,
one day.
2025.
Listen, right now I'm focusing a little bit on the comms part. Or not a little. I'm my life is the comms
Yeah.
part of it. But what's funny is that I often see myself ending up going back to my English roots once I have kids and I kind of step back from the workforce a bit, because
Yeah.
that's my plan eventually. Like I don't want to, if I can, I really would like to pull back and focus on
Yeah.
my, if that's available to me, or at least work maybe part time. Like that's
Hmm.
goal. He and I both share that goal. So that doesn't mean that I don't value my career, but I value my children more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
As you're
I
supposed
see,
to.
right, but I see myself, having more time to read and write and reflect. Like now it's, my life is writing for other people, which is fine, but, or at least helping other people write. I'm not going to say I write for other people all the time, but that's kind of my life now. But, I'm looking forward to when I can get to a point where I can go back to using my own voice as opposed to helping other people with theirs. So that is the future, and you were witnessing the beginning. I haven't vocalized this since you're pulling things out of me now. I mean, terrible. What's going on here?
Now it's gonna be out there in the universe. So
Like, my bosses are gonna look at me like, "What are you talking about, girl? Don't worry, I will be with you for very long. Don't worry." But my babies, I won't lie to anybody and say that my babies will not come first once they come. So
yeah, and
I
they're
pray
supposed to.
them every day. I pray about them every day.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anything else you want to add about the magazine, or should we wrap up? What are your thoughts?
Let's see if I got all my points. I feel like we went on like such a.
I know. I forgot we were talking about the magazine for a second.
We were going like. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've talked about the club a lot, but I'll make one last pitch because I really, if you'll let me,
Yeah, go
just because
for it.
it's so nice to be in a space where you don't feel like you have to police yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
again, that it's starting to fade, but for a while,
Yeah.
that was the way it was. Like you had to police yourself. So, the Women's Caucus in the New York Young Republican Club is making a grand revival. So it's been dormant
Ooh.
for a little while, but my friend just took it over and she's gonna do an amazing job, my friend Michaela. And we're gonna be doing a lot of like women focused events, and they're not gonna be explicitly, politically oriented events. They're just gonna be events that conservative minded women would want to come to. So it's gonna be a fun time. So if you're in New York, come find us. We're gonna be lit. It's gonna be great. So, but yeah,
I'm telling you guys, if you don't follow them on Instagram, you should. Their club looks so fun.
it is a lot of fun.
Everybody looks so nice. Yeah. I'm friends with Savannah. Savannah does a lot of things. Yeah.
I love Savannah. She just got married.
I know. She looks so beautiful. It was so nice. I didn't go, but like online I saw.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. My friend, well, he does a lot of the photography for the club, so a lot of the pictures you see on the page, like her professional shots, were him. So he's great.
Okay, that's cool.
Love Mike.
That's something else too. Like, just a side note, and then we really do need to wrap up. Yeah, we're almost at an hour and 30. About New York in general. So I went to college in New Jersey. So I would go up to New York, my freshman year especially, like a lot. And something about like New York is, I feel like people there are very much more like creative, and like they have a different, I don't know, like it's very different from North Carolina, obviously. And I feel like because of that like theater is more common up there, and like it's just I think it just brings like a different vibe to your club, and like to having the professional photographers, and like not saying that the clubs down here I haven't had bad experiences. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's definitely like a different vibe, and I think that part of it is just like the type of people that New York attracts in a positive way. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the people in the club are just in these kinds of circles in general who live in New York.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them are not native, which is fine. No hate, no shade. My best friend's from Ohio. We love her. She has earned her New York bona fides. Without her, love you, Alexis. But, we love everybody. You know what I mean? Listen, as long as you don't walk slow on the street, that's all that matters.
That's me. I walk slow and I smiled a lot. And one of my friends, she was like, one time we were there, and she's like, you gotta stop smiling at people. Like, that's why they keep talking to us, because you keep smiling. I'm like, I can't help it. Like, I'm from North Carolina. I'm just gonna smile. Like, it's a good day outside. But yeah.
No, they'll think you're crazy. Or they'll use it as an invitation. It's like, no, you're walking down the street. Listen, I'm from Queens, so it's a little different. I grew up in a very suburban-ish part of Queens, so it's not like quite so bad
College
as it's,
Manhattan, yeah.
but still, when I'm in the city, it's like, no, head down. I'm getting to where I'm going to. Like, you're not looking at me. If you look at me, I'm gonna look at you nasty, and you are way. Like you kind of have to like build that little shell around you because you don't know what somebody's up to,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on in their mind. But this is
Or
because
they're just having a good day. Or they just want to share like a flyer with you. That was the problem at the
oh,
time.
yeah,
We're always giving us flyers. And that, I'll admit, that was annoying.
yeah. Listen,
Um,
I've been on the giving end of that as we're doing campaigns, and it's
yeah.
like I think people like, you know what I hate the most? It's like fine if you like kind of just like give me a look and keep going because you're busy. It's like, all right, fine, I get that. But when people give me the hand,
That's
the
so rude, yeah.
I'm like, it's like I want to throw it at them.
Now I actually will give it to you. If your hand's up, like now you will have it.
After I'm gonna put it in your shopping cart and you're gonna take it whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But yeah, it's I understand why people get annoyed. I would get annoyed too.
Yeah.
Like it's a circle of life. It's a circle of
Yeah.
life. But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tell us how if people want to connect with you, how can they connect with you?
Sure. So this is for a limited time because I will be changing my name by the end of 2026. But
Ooh.
my Instagram is Oliveira, Oliveira .Beck, BECK. Nobody can ever spell my name. That's why I spelled it out. My Instagram and then my Twitter, not X, but my Twitter is Olive Tree Beck, all one word.
Cute.
I have more like hot political takes on my X. So, if you want to hear more political girly stuff, go on there. Usually I like, you see like my Instagram stories.
Yeah.
I'm decently tame. I'm a little more wild on my Twitter. So if you want the fun stuff, go on Twitter. If you want the more tame aesthetic stuff and you want to see my fiance all over my feed, then come on my Instagram. So yeah,
Cute.
that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Probably will split this episode, but it was really good. Like, honestly, we
Oh,
could have talked for another hour, but you'll have to come back on again.
oh,
Um,
I definitely will. This was a lot of fun. I've never felt so comfortable in any
oh, yay.
make it
That is,
very
yay. That makes me really happy because, like, my heart behind this is like, we're just having a conversation at the table, and then the listeners are sitting there with us with their tea or coffee or whatever, too. So, yay. I'm really glad that you enjoyed your time on Those Are the Girls. And everyone, comment, let us know. Some of the stuff we talked about, honestly, we've talked a lot, so I don't really remember everything we've said, but just comment, let us know how you feel. And make sure you rate, review, like, subscribe, all of that jazz, and have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you are. Bye.